Hello, folks. Welcome back to episode 18 of the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. We are relocated
Yes.
into Studio B. And by Studio B, I mean my car.
Yes.
So school is obviously on lockdown due to the coronavirus. Right now, they're only allowing school employees in at certain hours of the day, which is just me, obviously, and not yourself.
Yep.
And then we have to check in and get our temperature read before we go into the building and everything. So we have relocated into the new studio again, which is my car.
Awesome.
So hopefully the audio quality is good here. Let's talk about the audio quality actually, because we originally got some microphones and we had a difficult time where they were getting split.
Yeah.
It was still registering both microphones, but it was splitting the input between them. So the volume was very, very quiet. So I'm sure that a lot of you listening that have listened regularly noticed that the volume of our podcast went down. It was clear, but it went down. Well, this one will probably be loud again because we're working without microphones right now.
Yep.
So we're just on the regular computer. Ideally, the ultimate goal is to get like a board.
Yeah.
I'm not very technologically sound, and I don't really know a lot of those things, but evidently that's probably the next step is to get some microphones and some headsets and some fancy equipment.
Yeah, when we do that, we can start videoing.
Yes, which would be cool also.
Yeah.
All right, so like I said, episode 18, we're in the midst of more chaos and heavier restrictions than we were previously.
No doubt.
Everything's shut down, and by everything, I mean literally everything.
Yeah, everything that pertains to us anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Governor DeWine, the governor of Ohio, and I can't just specify him. I mean, it's pretty much governors nationwide. Have pretty much put a kibosh on every type of social event, gathering, or any type of place that would kind of engender big groups of people. So like even like beauty salons and barber shops and unfortunately gyms as well are closed down, which kind of lend its way to a interesting topic for today.
Yeah.
We were kind of sitting in my car just briefly brainstorming and thought, what are we going to talk about today? And we came up with the idea, how about operating under less than ideal circumstances? Because that's what this is.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting because I see a lot of people posting these videos about like home workouts, but some of them are like gym owners who are still like using dumbbells and barbells in their gym.
Right.
Now, granted, you could do that at home, but you don't have access to the dumbbells or the barbells.
Right.
A lot of people don't have that. And if you're getting quality sets, it's kind of expensive. So I think that anything you do right now is probably going to be less than optimal, but it doesn't have to be poor or non-existent.
And it has, that was what I was going to say. It doesn't have to be non-existent. We can always make sure we get something accomplished. Even if it's just going for a walk.
Yes. So, I mean, let's talk about that first, I guess. Training in terms of fitness, bodybuilding, whatever your avenue is that you're pursuing, training doesn't really have to go away completely. I know that depending on what certain avenues you're pursuing, like if you're a powerlifter, for example, you're going to be a little bit limited just because of weight. You may not be able to find the heavy equipment that you need or the heavy weights that you need necessary. But there's so many other avenues you could pursue. Like last week, we talked about mental acuity, working on your brain game a little bit and improving the mental side of things. Regulating stress. This is a downtime that's, important for people to regulate stress, which obviously would manifest itself in some benefits in the gym. We talked about mobility because regardless of what type of sport you're doing, like it falls under the GPP, like general physical preparedness or general physical preparation. The person who's faster, more athletic, more mobile, more flexible, can jump higher. Ultimately, that's going to allow you to be better in your sport specific stuff.
Right.
So there's definitely a lot of things that you can do. It's just, it's kind of crappy because like we are focused, I don't want to say entirely, but largely on the lifting portion.
Right.
So, there's ways to accommodate that too. So what exactly have you been doing during this whole storm?
So I'm lucky enough that I came into not a fantastic weight set, but a decent one. More than your average Walmart set. So I started just figuring it out. I put it all together and started benching and stuff downstairs and making it work.
So we have a barbell.
We have a barbell. We have 300 pounds of free weights. So I can pretty much do all my workouts that I normally did. I don't have all the dumbbells and stuff. I do have an adjustable dumbbell, but they're a pain.
Uh-huh.
To load, unload, load, unload. So doing drop sets and stuff is just not going to work.
Yeah.
But so today is chest and triceps day. I was looking at my basement and I found a pulley, and I have 550 cord, 550-pound rated cordage, and I kind of made a makeshift pull down machine. So I'm pretty excited. It was really makeshift. Let me just put that way. We're using one of the adjustable dumbbells, the ones that you plate load, and using that for the handle. So it's like 15 pounds by itself.
Yeah.
And then literally tying weight onto the end of the rope, running it through the pulley, and was able to do tricep press downs, pullovers.
Yep.
So it was a pretty good workout, and I was thinking about man, I almost love lifting outside of a fancy gym.
And there's a lot of ingenuity that comes the more you're in it. You come up with bigger ideas and better ideas. Even if you have access to little things like cables or whatever, there's ways to, or bands, or what have you. I mean, those are things that are affordable online. I get, I kind of salivate when I get a Perform Better magazine, which is a company that sells gym equipment and performance-based equipment for athletes, looking at all the things in there. And a lot of it you can keep at home and get some quality work in with those. Right. And I agree with what you said, about how there's a lot of benefit to training in an atmosphere that's like that. Because the atmosphere at home is conducive to how you want. It's basically whatever you want to do. The music you want to play, you can be as loud as you want, as quiet as you want.
Right.
You can have, if it's in a garage gym, like a typical garage gym, you can have the garage door open, the garage door closed. It really doesn't matter. Like my coach Austin has, what I like to call the Midwest Mecca. It's the barn gym.
Yes.
And he has this this big garage, almost like an automobile garage, next to his house that he owns. And he's filled it with gym equipment from a previous gym that he owned, and he constantly gets new pieces. And it's got pretty good equipment. Well, it's got phenomenal equipment for a barn gym.
Right.
But everything is pretty much hand selected for what he wants. But it's not overly expensive. It's a budget gym that doesn't give budget results. He will blast music. It'll be 100 degrees plus in the summer and negative 30
in the winter,
where he said he has to wear, he'll put on gloves or mittens to squat because he can't grab the bar because it's frozen. It's so cold. So it's pretty cool having that opportunity at your disposal. Not everybody's going to have that.
Right.
But I think there are certainly ways around this. People talking about the economy crashing. If it's me, I'm investing in gym equipment stock right now.
Yes, for
it's probably going through the roof. And I talked with a couple people about just offhand and very casually about I'd like to get maybe a nice squat rack for our for my garage or whatever, but then you wonder how long is this going to last? Not that I'm going to be dismissive of having a squat rack, but if I'm going to drop a couple $1,000s only to be back in the gym in a couple weeks, then how much use would I get out of it then? Would I keep lifting at my house? I don't know.
And I don't know. I think I would keep lifting at my house. I really we were talking earlier, I love lifting in the gym with all of our buddies and, all the fancy equipment, but I really do think there's something to putting yourself in a situation that you have to think. Like you said, you have to be more ingenuitive, maybe is the word. I don't know. You have to think about what you're doing to get it done. You can't go into a garage gym that you're making things happen. You're not going to be able to go in there and say, I'm going to do lat pull downs and I'm going to go over here and do V-bar press downs as a superset. You might have, I have this set up now, where if you were going to do 2 different cable workouts, you literally have to change absolutely everything to make it work.
Yeah.
So those supersets that you normally would do are not going to work.
And I think as far as progression goes, you really don't need a lot in order to progress strength training wise. Now, again, we're speaking specifically to strength training because that's probably the one area that's the most limited.
Yeah.
But if you do have even a small weight set with 300 pounds, you could progressively overload through reps or through frequency or whatever. It doesn't have to be just weight on the bar.
Right.
So there's definitely ways to make do in the strength training aspect of things. And then, not to mention, I think this affords people the opportunity to kind of diversify their training a little bit and do things that they wouldn't normally do. like maybe do some plyometric based training and work on like your sprinting mechanics or
Yeah.
vertical jumping, or just anything that's going to ultimately give you a little bit of a challenge. Like I was out walking the track the other day and it was packed.
Hmm.
Like there's so many people at the track, whereas typically you don't really see that many
Yeah.
people. So it's pretty cool. I mean, just seeing that many people wanting to get out and to do something and be in nature. I love being in
Me
nature.
too.
Now I'm not an outdoorsman though, so it's weird because like I don't hunt, I don't really fish, I don't do any outdoors activities per se, but I just love being in nature and training outside
I agree.
when given the opportunity. I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
So
I agree. Well, it's like, running. If you're a runner and you in the wintertime you only run on a treadmill and for some reason the gym closes, just go outside and run. Yeah, it's cold, but get it done. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and it's fun. Like, I guarantee you, put yourself in a bad situation and run, like outside in the rain or in the snow, and you will fall in love with it.
well, I'm sure you can find a pickup basketball court anywhere too to
Yes.
play basketball. There's just innumerable opportunities that people have. I think that they just need to little outside the box thinking
Mhm.
of what they're used to. Like the training won't be optimal for what you want, but again, there's so many different avenues that you can look at as far as like meeting your need, because I don't think that your need is necessarily strength training as some people may think it is, or your need isn't necessarily endurance training. Your need is just to train in general and self betterment and improvement,
Yeah.
most likely. So if you get that, it doesn't really matter how you get it. If you're getting it some way, I think you'll notice some positive feedback.
Yeah, I think it's a mental thing more than anything.
For sure.
I need to train every single day because my mental space is not right if I don't.
Yeah, and now does that mean you have to go on, 5K
No.
every day? No.
Nope.
Does that mean you have to lift instead of PR
Nope.
in the gym every single day? No, but you should be doing something for self improvement or self betterment, mentally and physically
Yeah,
every day. You
I
should be
agree.
trying to get better at both of those every day.
I agree.
Like, I
absolutely
mean,
agree.
even if it's just something as little as like, now this is kind of null and void right now, but getting some tissue work, deep tissue work done,
Mhm.
maybe some like active release technique or any type of those like therapies, that's bettering your body,
Yeah.
right? So that could be considered work in and
Right.
of itself.
I mean, and we can even talk about it more. It doesn't even have to be training in general. I mean, if you're a writer or a scholar and you've always wanted to write a book and you never feel like you have the time, well, now you have the time to set aside an hour a day to write. If you're a writer, set aside an hour to write. Or like myself, I made it a point to learn to teach myself how to read and teach myself how to read better than I've ever been able to, because I've never been a real good reader. So I have 2 books on my nightstand, and I have 2 because I want to read the second book.
Yeah.
So I'm making myself read
Read
the
the
first
first
book
one, nice.
first, so I can get to the philosophy book that I want to read.
See, I was never a big reader. I've been trying to get into it lately, the past couple years specifically. Now I have time, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's for me, and I know that this is pretty much with everybody. It's just finding the things that I like to read
Mhm.
about. So books about nutrition, books about success and self improvement, books about like personal management, those sort of things that
Right.
kind of appeal to me. And when I find books on them, then I'm really apt to read. But then, of course, like you said, it's always well, I don't have time to do this. I
Mhm.
don't have time to read. Well, now I have considerable amount more time than I had previously. So
Right.
guess what I'm doing? I'm reading.
Nice.
So I think that when you talk about getting through difficult times or less than ideal, quote unquote, circumstances that we mentioned, the one thing that I think of is a friend of mine who lives in Columbus, and his name's Jeff. And I met Jeff. Jeff and I started coaching football together when we were younger, and then have remained friends ever since. He's a few years younger than I am, but Jeff is doing this challenge by Andy Frisella, who I believe is the owner of First Form Nutrition.
Okay.
So it's an up and coming. I don't want to say up and coming because it's not like, I mean, it's definitely popular, but they're gaining even more headway than they have before, of a supplement company. And it's a 75-day challenge that he's doing, and it's not. I mean, it is. It's a physical challenge, but it's more mental than anything because of the parameters. So what you have to do is, like, number one, and I hope that I'm not forgetting all of the items here, but the first one is you have to follow a diet. Now, it doesn't matter what the diet is, but you have to follow a diet. So that could be, specific foods in specific amounts. It could be just following a macro guide, like 50 grams of protein per meal or whatever, 30 grams of carbs per meal, whatever. But you have to follow a diet with no cheats for 75 days. You also have to have 2 workouts. One is a gym workout, and the other is an outdoor workout. Now, the purpose of the outdoor workout, in my estimation, is that it's tough. So when it's snowing, he has to do it. When it's raining, he has to do it. We live in northeastern Ohio where
you get
the
that.
weather is not always great.
Right.
It could be 75 and sunny and then snowing 2 days later. So I think that that's really cool because, it's more of playing towards your mental side of things than the physical side of things. I mean, it is physical because it is a 75-day, body transformation challenge in a sense. But again, every item that they have as far as like the requisites go, they're all based on something that's mentally difficult.
So to touch on that, I don't know how much how much information you have on it, but because now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Is it set workouts, gym and outside, or is it you just pick a gym workout?
You pick the gym workout and you pick the outside workout. So he and I kind of, I don't want to call him necessarily a client because it's not like we're, have, back and forth updates and constant dialogue about his training and nutrition. But I have kind of helped him as far as the training side of things, the nutrition side of things over the years, and gradually grown apart, not grown apart as friends, but grown apart as in like, I'm not in charge of all this stuff. He comes up with his ideas and then runs them by me for confirmation, which is what you want. He's learning nutrition and exercise performance in his own right. So we originally set him on a push-pull leg split. Well, he's been doing that for years, rotating different exercises and like rep scheme undulation based on his progress. But he's kind of stuck with that. So he wanted to maybe up the frequency a little bit, which he did. And then his outside workouts are basically whatever he wants that day. You could do sprints, you could go for a hike, you could, go for a 3-mile run, you could go for a 5-mile run. You can go run stairs somewhere, I think that the possibilities are really endless. Yeah. Again, I wish I had more information because we're just kind of talking about this on a whim. But Jeff would definitely be able to give me some more insights and we can talk about it. Like I said, I think it's Andy Frisella, he said, was the person who originally came up with this idea. And then the catch is that if you don't complete the challenge, so let's say, you're supposed to eat 75 days of a diet, and then I go to get one cheat meal on day 37. Well, now you got to start all over. So if you cheat or miss a workout or whatever, you have to start all over. Now, there's no one holding you accountable. It's not like, there's like a check-in system where like a coach is watching you or making sure that you do this. But I think that it's really important because of the
self-accountability.
Yeah, which is the biggest concern for most people. I mean, like I couldn't tell you the number of people, both online and in-person clients, that hire me and say, like, I need you because I won't do this without you. Like, I need to send you my weight, or I need to send you pictures to hold me accountable. And like, I guess that's kind of a benefit because at least they see, their flaws, and they're self-aware in that aspect. Like, oh, hey, I need some help with this, because most people, I don't know if most people are.
Right. No.
Like most people.
I wasn't at first.
Like it's like the 4 steps of, I think we've talked about this before, the 4 steps of mastery. Like the first is where you're doing something wrong and you don't realize it. And then the next step is you realize you're doing something wrong and you're correcting it,
Right.
So, I don't know, man. I think that there's definitely ways that you can go about this whole pandemic thing. And I thought that his was an interesting way. Now, we talked because the gym work or the outside workouts are fine. And I said to him, okay, well, now what are you going to do now that you don't have a gym? Because he has 0 gym equipment. And last we spoke, I think we decided, or he decided on, well, I'm just going to have to do 2 outside workouts then.
Well, he could do like push-ups, sit-ups, burpees.
Yeah, and I don't want to put words in his mouth because I don't remember the exact dialogue that we had, but I'm pretty sure he said something along the lines of doing an inside workout like that might have been too easy, where he would maybe let himself, just do a couple sets of body weight movements or whatever and then be done with it. But he
Right.
actually like, he's very self motivated, and he's like idolized Kobe. So like
Right.
he reads about Kobe and about MJ, and he's a huge sports fan. So he reads a lot like about these like mentalities of these like superstar athletes. So his mental game is pretty in tune how it should be. So like he's always trying and striving to make things a little bit more difficult on himself.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So yeah, it's definitely a unique challenge that I just thought kind of fit in the vein of what we
Yeah.
were talking about.
There's actually a really cool challenge that you could do, a really cool workout you could do to fit that. A Murph. I can't remember the guy's name, like full name, but a Murph is he was a Navy SEAL, and they do this workout because it's something that he did. You run a mile, you do 100 pull-ups, you do 200 push-ups, and 300 body weight squats, and then you run a mile.
Yep.
You could do variations of a Murph every day.
Now,
if you
isn't
wanted.
that, and like I don't know historically, so I could be way off, but isn't that kind of how CrossFit
Mm,
began? Because
I think
I
so.
know that they give like names to different workouts
Mhm.
and stuff. So
But that's stuff that I've always wanted to do. Is I like the challenge stuff, like you know, the 22 push-ups a day for veterans.
yeah,
I cannot wait till somebody calls me out
yeah,
because it's on. I'm not gonna do it until somebody calls me out, just so you guys know. Um,
hint
but
hint.
yeah, so like I'm in. That kind of stuff is cool. So like you said, 75 days, and I'm like, ooh, that
Yeah,
sounds fun.
yeah.
Let's do it.
And
You
he's
know,
like, I mean, he's hyper tuned in with it. Like, will not have even the slightest snack if it doesn't fit within the parameters of what his diet is.
I'm kind of crazy, but I would almost like to fail so I could go another 75 days.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, oops, I had a ho ho. It's time to start over. You know what
just
I
to
mean?
push the
Yeah,
mental
just to push the
side
mental
of
game,
things.
a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base on that, but I don't know. That sounds fun.
So let's talk about nutrition now,
Yeah.
because the training is adaptable at least to a degree.
Hmm.
You're having, I don't want to use this term liberally and say food shortages, but
Right.
like certain foods, like certain meats, you're not able to get your hands on. There are a lot of different avenues that you can pursue as far as meeting healthy guidelines.
Right.
Number one is it seems like a lot of healthy foods
Mhm. Aren't
being like restricted right now, or I've overbought,
No, they're not.
like panic buying. Like, cause I mean, it's mostly like non-perishable stuff.
Mhm.
It's not a lot of fruits and vegetables, so
Right.
I'm loaded up. I'm good there. The meat sources are another thing. There's definitely access to them, and I mean, with technology today, there's so much you can do online for shopping and
Yes.
stuff. I mean, it's unreal. But let's just say worst case scenario, you are stuck in a position where you can't get any of the foods or any foods that would be close to what you would normally
Right.
get. This is where some simple mathematics can go a long way. And I saw that Matt Jansen, who's one of the top coaches in the industry now, he coaches a lot of professional bodybuilders, and he's a competitive bodybuilder himself. He was talking about like how there's so many foods that are available, and if you calculate your macronutrient needs, like you calculate how many grams of protein you should have per
Mhm.
meal or throughout the day, and how many grams of carbs and how many grams of fats, which may seem like a lot of work to the normal person. I mean, to bodybuilders, it's just second nature. I mean, it's like nothing.
Right. Right.
And he was saying how you can substitute a lot of these foods and still make very similar progress, or at the very worst, you can mitigate losses.
Right.
You may not be able to gain, but sustainability is definitely there and stuff. And I think that if your nutrition's honed in, truthfully, I don't think you're going to lose as much strength and size as people think. Like as far as bodybuilders, like, oh, I'm going to shrivel up and lose my gains and stuff. If you have the muscle tissue long enough, your body like almost like hangs on to it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the initial strength decline is just like nervous system downregulation. Like, I was reading this, and God, I wish I had the figures because I don't want to misspeak. But it was like the rate of depreciation. So like what different groups or physical characteristics as far as performance indicators, which ones decrease the fastest. And I believe the number one was explosive power and speed. will decrease the fastest. So as long as you're doing like explosive movements, like different types of jump variations, like broad jumps, sprints, bounding, anything that the normal person would consider athletic movements,
Yeah.
Those will stay. Those you have to keep doing in order to get them to stay.
Keep them, yeah.
Whereas like hypertrophy and just muscle building in general, as long as you're eating enough protein and enough, let's just say enough nutrition in general, both macros and micros, you're going to not like burn a ton of tissue off. Now, granted, if this goes for 3 years, well then yeah, but right. It's looking like this could be at the very, very least a couple weeks and at the very most several months.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think that you're going to be able to problem solve. If this does last several months, you're going to be able to problem solve before we get to that point.
Right.
So like economically, our government and our people will figure something out. So the food, there won't be any severe food shortages in my estimation. And then even like getting together with some friends and buying like a home gym or something. Like worst comes to worst,
we're going to figure it out.
You're going to figure it out. You'll be what? I would say 2 months at the absolute worst before you either, are allowed back in or you create alternative means of training, I think.
Because if you want it bad enough, you're going to do it. You're going to figure out a way to, like I watched Instagram stories today of the people that I follow that are in this industry more than I am. Like,
yeah.
The one guy he's a professional bodybuilder. I can't remember his name. But he did a whole workout on his Instagram story, and it was just push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and he did a back workout. He was rowing his coffee table.
That's like my friend Tyler. Shout out to Tyler Bordick, Dr. Bordick. He's a doctor of physical therapy. Really, really into the training. He's a competitive powerlifter. He was a bodybuilder previously. He was actually one of the ones who got me into show prep because when he prepped for his first show in college, he and I kind of bounced some ideas off of each other and went through some things. So that was kind of my first opportunity, not to do an entire prep for someone, but to kind of help them along the way and give suggestions and stuff, which is really cool. But Dr. Bordick was showing some examples of some home workouts that you can do. And it was funny because I commented on his Instagram post because he's like lifting laundry baskets and, doing different mobility drills with soup cans or whatever. And
right.
I told him, I said, dude, you look like you're training for stay-at-home mom of the year.
Well, I tell you, guys in prison don't have like, weights anymore. They don't do that. As far as I know, they use bags of water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and do pull-ups with bags of water over their shoulder and do push-ups and, monster sets of push-ups, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of push-ups.
And I think that because I was watching Generation Iron 3, the third one, because I recently just got a Netflix account because I have time for that now. And I was watching Generation Iron 3, and they traveled around the world and went to like these different countries where like some of these amateur bodybuilders were training. And there's like these couple of them that they were following in Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
And just the training circumstances were so poor and the nutrition circumstances were so poor.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you looked at the physiques on these guys who have no drugs, very, very limited weight equipment. The equipment they do have isn't equipment. It's like self-built equipment.
Right.
The nutrition is not the greatest, obviously.
Not optimal for sure.
And when you like look at the physiques, you're like, holy cow, these guys, obviously there's some genetics at play there.
Right.
Undeniably, but it's just pretty cool to see what they did.
Willpower.
Yeah, with minimal resources aside from a strong mind.
People, yeah, if you want it bad enough, you're gonna get it.
So maybe this is even a wake up call to like start budgeting.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe this will last a long time. And again, I fully sympathize with people that are losing their jobs and don't have finances because they're probably budgeting everything in life right now. And a nice power rack in the old gym may be last on the priority list for sure.
Right.
I'm not, dismissive of that by any means. Like, I get it. But I think that, making connections, maybe having some people go in and everybody buy a squat rack together, like a handful of 5-6 people buy a squat rack, put it in someone's garage and, take turns using it, use it all at once, as long as you're adhering to your state's social distancing regulations.
Yeah, and I'm not laughing at the social distancing because it's the one thing that's going to make this thing work.
Oh, yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah.
But it's it's just crazy some of the things people are doing. I was at Walmart this morning because you have to go early
Yeah.
to get anything because they're selling out so fast. It's like, so I went when they opened. So yeah, I looked like one of the zombies in line, and because I was one.
Yep.
And you get in the store and it's like, why am I here? Like at 7 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't make sense because Walmart's never closed, but they are now. And but it's necessary. But some people are, there was a lady with gloves. She was wearing like part of a Tyvek suit
Jeez.
and a mask and booties, and I'm like, I get it because this is bad stuff, but unless you're really sick and that's your precautions that you're taking, you're scaring people more than you are helping.
Yeah, and man, there's so much to dissect on this whole coronavirus thing that I almost caution myself talking about it because number one, I'm not an expert.
Yeah, me neither.
Number two, even the experts are so torn on it.
And it's changing every day.
Yeah, it's changing
hourly sometimes.
Yeah, and it's up and down how it's changing. Like, we're going to be fine. Oh no, it's the end of mankind. Right. It's ranging from that large of a polarity scope here where like some people say, oh, it'll be a couple more weeks, and some people say it'll be a couple years, and some say we're going to find a cure within a couple months, and some say it'll be a couple years for that, and then they'll say, oh, well, young people have nothing to worry about, and then you hear instances, okay, well, someone that was young and had no previous health concerns just died, and then people freak out again, and it's just such a, I don't want to say overblown because it's certainly not. I think it's definitely something that needs the utmost caution because we've never experienced anything like it. But I almost want to distance myself from it. Like, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm going to do my social distancing, but I want to do my media distancing too. Like, stay off of listening to the news. Yeah. Stay off of, President Trump or any, government official giving speeches. Just use my social media for positive things and go about my daily life at my own house and doing things around the house that I wouldn't typically have time to do.
Right. I agree with that 100%.
There's a lot of benefit that can come from this. So that's kind of like the overwhelming theme here is when you have unfortunate circumstances, I think that positive things can come out of that. Like you learn a lot about yourself, you learn a lot about other people, you learn a lot about mentally how you operate. So there's so many different things that go into this.
I agree.
And, I try to think of things positively. Like, I have opportunity to do things that I generally don't have all the time to do. Like little things like cleaning out my car or washing my car, doing little things like that I want to get to do because normally I don't have the opportunity to do that during the school year.
This actually is going to go back to like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 episodes ago when we started the weight loss series.
Yeah.
Time management. I realized today, actually, this morning, that my time management has been so off because since this thing has started, my wife's elderly grandmother lives with us. So she's highly vulnerable to the coronavirus.
Yep.
And my wife being an ICU nurse in 2 hospitals, she's on the front line. Yep. So she could quite literally bring it home and infect us.
Yeah, it's a rough situation there.
We are taking it hypersensitive, being very, very, very diligent about cleaning our house and sanitizing. I've literally washed my walls and cabinets every single day since it started because in hope that the over sanitation that we are doing is going to protect her grandmother and anybody else and ourselves. Yeah. But more to protect her. And I'm thinking to myself, where am I finding this time? Because I'm still working out. I'm still eating good. I'm still working 50, 60 hours a week. I'm blessed. I work in the oil field, and it's necessary. It's never going to stop. Until the country stops, it won't stop. So I still have all my work, and now I'm cleaning the house every day.
It was like, this sounds weird, but for me, I seem to have the best time management the more I have to do.
I agree.
Because you plan for it more acutely, and so when you're under pressure, the pressure of like, I have all these things to do, then you're forced to have adequate management. Like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this in this order and that order. So it kind of like starts to build up to the point where you have no other option but to make sure that all your ducks are in a row.
Right.
Whereas now when you have, and I don't want to say unlimited time because there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes that people don't realize as far as teacher work goes, as far as like, planning for assignments to students. And I'm calling parents constantly, multiple parents every day, touching base with them and seeing who has internet access, who doesn't. There's a whole lot that goes into it. But regardless, I have large amount of time for all intents and purposes compared to how it was, and I'm not as productive. And it's like, what are you doing? Why are you not cherishing this moment? Like, you need to get your butt up and be productive with it.
Right.
So
I get it. We kind of see both sides of it here.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I really do. I'm looking at my normal schedule and I'm like, how am I doing all this stuff extra? I don't get it, but I am. So
yeah.
Later, when this is all done, I'm going to keep doing all this extra stuff because my house is cleaner. Like, might as well. But, it's funny because, like, the time management is so important, too. Like, when we go on vacation, we make a plan of what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just to structure. I'm really big on structure. I like to know what the plan is.
Yeah.
When I was a really big guy, it was so I could plan where I was going to sit or how far I was going to have to walk.
It was kind of like a necessity, like a lifestyle need for you at one point.
And it kind of still is because it's like I need to know what the plan is.
I don't even dude, I'm the same way. I don't even like going to the gym without one.
Right.
Like, that's why I follow a workout program. And on days that I deviate from the plan, like, hey, my friend wants to hit arms. Like, okay, well, I'll come back to my normal training schedule. I'll train arms with you today.
Yeah.
Or whatever, because I do that pretty frequently. But like, I don't like just saying like, what do you want to do next? Right. Okay, what do you want to do next? Like, I like having the plan laid out, like the times that you and I would train together off of your training split and off of my training split where we would do a workout together. We would write it down.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this is what we're going to do first. This is what we're going to do next. And then this, and then this. Even like the warm-ups and the mobility drills and stuff, we would kind of write out because like going out without a plan is just, I don't know. I don't know how people do it.
I don't either.
I'm not a spontaneous person in the gym or in life in general, and I don't know how people can just live like that. I think it's awesome that they have the ability to do that and just be, I don't want to say careless, but maybe carefree with their approach to things. But like,
I'll blow way too much time if I don't have a plan.
Yeah.
It's like when I wake up in the morning, I have to go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, make my breakfast, pack my lunch, let the dogs out, or my whole day is shot. If I don't do it in that order, it's over.
And I like one thing that I need to do a better job of is mitigating the in-between time. So when I'm like done at the gym training and now I need to go home and do this or whatever, not staying around at the gym and talking too much or doing, because I noticed that like when I think back day to day, like I waste a lot of time. Like I'm constantly working. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I work, from early in the morning at school and then, coach sports or train clients until late at night. And then I get home and do client emails all night. So like I'm running on minimal free time, but what little free time I do have, it's kind of an illusion where I actually think I have more than I think that I have less than I actually do. Because if you take, 10 minutes transition time in between clients or 10 minutes transition time in between driving to the gym or whatever, I think that if you add that time up, it's like, oh, I actually have a little bit of free time, but I wasted it, because I wasted an extra half hour at the gym because after my workout, I stood around and messed around and just joked around with people and,
it's funny because like when my wife would come to the gym with me when we were still at the gym because it was open, once in a while she would come with me and she's always like, this turns into a 3-hour event to come to the gym. And I'm like, my workout's 45 minutes. What are you talking about? But the 40 minutes I spend stretching before I work out and then work out for 40 minutes and then talk for an hour.
Yeah, she's right.
I guess she's right. So
yeah, you definitely, I think everybody needs a little bit of a refresher of like, hey, not only what are you doing, but how are you doing it? Like, are you doing everything with intention? Like, are you doing everything to the best of your ability? Are you doing everything at a fast pace? Not to rush through things, but like, is there a sense of urgency in your day, like every day?
Needs to be a sense of purpose.
Yeah, well, that's I don't like urgency. You're right. That's a much better term. Purpose, a sense of purpose with what you're doing.
Yeah, the first book I ever read is called The Purpose Driven Life, and it's a Christian book, but I love it because it's true. Like, you know, if you have a purpose for everything you do, a reason for turning the TV on at this time,
Yeah.
or a reason that I take the garbage out at this time, or you know, everything you do has a reason and a purpose.
I think that I said it before on a podcast, but Austin, my coach, I remember posted one time that said, think of what you want the most in life and eliminate everything that isn't that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very simple, but like, and what you want most in life doesn't need to be, it can be a broad term. Like, I want to be better at everything that I do. Okay, that's, you know, that's a very wide spectrum and definitely an umbrella statement. But let's say you want to be better at everything you do. Is going to the gym helping that? Yes. You know, is cooking a healthy meal doing that? Yes. Is going to work helping that? Yes. You know, is sitting around watching TV for a half hour helping that? Probably, actually, because it gives you a little relaxation. Now, is sitting around watching TV for 3 hours when you should be getting optimal sleep or doing something a little bit more productive? No. Right. And I think that I love constant reminders of what are you doing? What are you doing? How are you doing it? One thing that I did was and I need to get back to doing this. I was doing it for a while. And I don't know how this worked its way out of my routine, but I was setting my alarm for every hour. And when every hour went off, I was assessing what I was doing and how I was doing it. So, you know, 8 a.m., I'm at school teaching. Okay, now obviously I'm teaching, right? But so I can't really say there's a difference in what I'm doing, but how am I doing it? Like, am I having a bad day? Am I being grumpy and short with kids? Or am I making class enjoyable for them? Am I teaching with passion? And like, you know, I can get very animated when I teach. So I jump around and I yell real loud and I'll stand on the desks and, you know, throw things across the room and the kids think it's hilarious. But like, that engages them and helps them learn better. So like, am I doing that stuff regularly? So I set my alarm for every hour and it would go off and I would just turn it off and just do like a quick 5-second like self-eval. Like, okay, what am I doing?
Check.
How am I doing it? Am I doing it the right way? Okay, we're good. Let's go. And then just keep going. And it's amazing how much progress you make when you do something little like that.
I'm stealing it.
And like I said, I don't know how that got out of my routine, but I was doing it for a while, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
It sounds perfect.
Because like even little things, like it would go off during my workout, and it would be in between sets where I'm talking to someone.
Mm-hmm. And that's a perfect time for it to go off.
Yeah, and I'm like, nope. We've been talking for 30 seconds.
Nice talking to you, bud.
Yeah.
Lift.
Yep.
Pick it up. You know, whatever that is, you know, that's awesome. I love that.
That's why I think it's really important to surround yourself with like-minded people too. Mm-hmm. That was another episode that we talked about about, you know, how you have to surround yourself with the people that you want to be like and people that are going to push you and influence you, because those are the people that are going to respond to that type of atmosphere that you're trying to, or the tone that you're trying to set.
Right.
So like if I'm lifting with someone and I say, hey, you know, we got to shut up. Let's get after this. Like, stop, you know, talking. Let's be serious here. And I know that I'm guilty of that sometimes. Like I definitely talk and, you know, I don't want to say goof around, but, you know, get off track a little bit during some training sessions.
When you love what you're doing, it's easy too.
For sure. But you need to get people that are on the same page as you so they don't take offense to that.
Right.
So like
that's why we jive real well.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter. If you tell me to shut up and lift, I know you're meaning it from a good spot.
Yeah. Like one of my clients and very good friend and training partner, Christian, like the one time, I don't remember, but he was asking me questions during the set. And a couple people were asking me questions, and he was the last person that asked a question. And I was in the middle of a set, and I just blew up. I
think I was there.
And I told him, I said, dude, I got X amount of weeks to the show. I said, I can't deal with playing 21 questions right now. I got to train. If you want to do that, that's fine. If not, leave. And it was kind of, I don't want to say out of character for me, because like I do that when it's necessary, but I'm pretty calm, I think, most of the time. And Christian's like the coolest person where he gets that. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, you're right, dude. I'm sorry. Let's get after it. And then it was there. It was not like he was upset that I yelled at him like that, you know, because you shouldn't really yell at another adult.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I yelled, but it was just more of like a stern, hey, this is the way it's got to be. And I do that all the time when I'm training. And, you know, people don't take offense to it because I surround myself with people that get it. People that are goal-oriented, people understand. Not only are they goal-oriented, but they understand my goals too.
Right.
Like it's different, you know, like let's say we're running, like if we're running, I know that you have running goals in mind.
Right.
So if I'm talking to you and you tell me, hey, Charlie, shut up, we got to run, I'm going to say, oh, yep, you're right.
Check.
Like, yes, sir. Like, I got
after it. Yeah.
And then, likewise in the weight room, when people come training with me, I tell them, hey, this is Daddy's house.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to tell you what the rules are, what we're going to do, and how we're going to do it. And if you don't like it, that's cool, man. But now I don't ever want to come across as like being a meathead when I say that, though, because I also know some people who take stuff too far.
Yeah.
On the meathead scale, and like they act like they're going to war when they're training. Like, no, we're just lifting weights, dude.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, you don't have to take it super seriously. I think that I have, at least in some people, it varies from person to person. I feel like I have a switch that I can switch on and off if I need to.
Yeah.
So I can do a set and give 100% effort, and then turn that switch off and talk to you for a minute after my set.
Absolutely.
Well, then I can switch it back on and get into the zone again. Some people can't do that. And I learned that from coaching.
Right.
Like I've had, we had a running back one time who was, an all-star caliber athlete, was getting recruited by a lot of colleges, eventually went into the service. He could have played football at pretty much any school he wanted. And he was, very, very talented athlete. And he was also like the class clown, like always goofing around, but in good nature and in fun. And I used to tell him, listen, you have that switch that you can turn it on and off. But these other players, your teammates, can't do that. So I need you to step into a more solidified leadership role. Like, your leadership is phenomenal in the sense of leading by example. But when you start goofing around and making jokes in the huddle, these kids can't refocus the next play and turn it on like you can. So, you have some discussions and you learn that some people are able to do that and some people aren't.
Some people need you to point them in the direction that they need to go. Some people need, I say it all the time, in life anymore, it seems like, is like people need to know their lane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they can stay in it.
Yes.
I'm that guy. Like, a lot of times I need somebody to say, hey, this is the parameters of what you need to do. And I'll get it done. You tell me what to do, and I'm going to do it.
And sometimes you even know what to do. You just need a reminder.
Right.
It's like the hour time. And I can't remember. I don't want to take credit for this because that was not originally my idea. I got that from somewhere or from someone. And I don't remember who, because I listen to so much and I've like read a lot lately as far as like self-improvement goes. So I can't give you a definitive answer. But little things like the reminder, like, oh crap, like I'm not staying focused. I need to change this right now, or I need to do this right now. And that's, something that we've always tried to say from day one. And I think that's how, like, probably our first message in the very first podcast we did was, for lack of a better term, we are nobodies.
Yeah.
Like, we're just average people. Like, we're not,
professional.
Anybody that competes professionally. We're not, these world gifted athletes or scholars or whatever. We're just average guys sharing our experiences and what we're learning. And I know that it kind of seems a little bit self-righteous when you give self-help tips and your life isn't perfect.
Right.
Because I used to think that. I'm like, man, why does anybody want to take success ideas from me? Because I'm not the most successful person in the world. Like, I'm not a millionaire. Like, I'm not like world famous. Like, who am I to tell them? But then I thought, I'm just giving my insights and what I've learned along the way. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. And sometimes these podcasts serve as, I don't know if you'd say motivation or just kind of almost like a little bit of a reminder to myself. Like, hey, dude, you need to do this stuff you're talking about too.
I would say not sometimes. Like, I listen to every one of our episodes and I try to listen to it from an objective standpoint.
Yeah.
So, because I want to learn from it. Like,
naturally, you should.
I want to go back and listen to it and say, man, you sounded like a knucklehead. Or, wow, that Charlie actually knows what the heck he's talking about.
And not only that, but then, like, are you walking the walk too?
Right.
And so, like, I give all this advice on this and that. It's like, okay, Charlie and Justin, are you two doing it as well?
Right.
Like, you talk about, getting up and doing what you got to do even when you don't feel like doing it. Well, I need to remember that podcast when I wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. and it's time to eat my first meal and go for a run or go to the gym or do laundry or do whatever it is that I need to do, and I don't want to do it. Well, I need to remember that.
That's funny. That's something you told me a while ago too. Like, when we first started doing the podcast, we had to live this. You had to live it out.
Yes.
Because now we're telling people everything that we're doing. And I love it that we're telling everybody, but I'm not going to lead by an example that's not mine.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, it's funny you said that because I remember having that conversation with like, hey, dude, this is a higher accountability for us now.
Yes.
Like, I can't tell people all these tips and suggestions on how to better their life if I'm not doing it twice as often and twice as hard as them.
Right.
There would just be no point to it, and I would look silly.
And I feel like an obligation to the people that listen. Even if we only have 5 people that consistently listen, or 1 person that consistently listens, I feel personally that I'm obligated to give that person 150%.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're sitting in Studio B.
Studio B.
I love it.
Well, man, we're approaching the end.
Yeah.
We try to make these roughly 45 minutes, went a little bit over today. So hopefully we have some more listenership, because it's a great opportunity, because a lot of you guys aren't going to work. You're not going to gym, not going to school. So
I wanted to say, a few episodes ago, we did that where we told everybody that we were going to do a t-shirt giveaway for
the 1,000 listeners, which were well surpassed.
We've surpassed that. We both posted in the social media aspect of this game where to find, how to get the shirts. We're going to repost those posts again. So if you remember the secret word, or we're going to tell them again the secret word.
Yeah, let's tell them again.
Dream Chasers. So when we post the post, send us, that's the code word. So whenever you see the post posted, like it, do whatever it says, send us the code word Dream Chasers.
Yeah, you can inbox me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest platform to reach me. For those of you that don't know, although I'm assuming most of you do, it's at No Excuse Charlie, NOEXCUSECHARLIE. I'm terrible at spelling out loud and not writing it on paper, so hopefully I said that right. But at No Excuse Charlie, both on Twitter and Instagram. Instagram is probably the easiest way to reach me.
Yeah, his is a lot easier than mine, because mine is on Instagram. It's at Justin_TNQ_Masters. That's JUSTIN_TNQ_MASTERS. And then on Facebook, I'm Justin.Masters.79, or the Chasing Dreams podcast has its own page, and it's the Chasing Dreams podcast.
Simple enough.
So
yeah, whenever you hear this episode, send us the code word, which is Dream Chasers, to be entered to win your chance for a free t-shirt. We're probably going to give out a couple of those.
Yeah, we're going to do 2.
We said what? Episode 20, right?
Yeah, episode 20.
2 more episodes, 2 weeks. Also, just to throw it out there, we will be doing for episode 20 a Q&A.
Yes.
So we're going to post a thread on all social media modalities asking people for questions that they have. And it can be anything. It can be personal questions for Justin and I, different talking points that you'd like discussed. It can be nutrition, training, supplementation, and it can be life related. It doesn't have to be much of anything. I mean, we're experts on nothing, so It's not like we would prefer one type of question over the other. Just maybe some things that you guys would like to talk about or hear answered on air. So that will be episode 20. And hopefully during this time of quarantine, we should have a few more interviews, because people are a lot less busy.
Yes.
So those are all on the horizon. So some cool things brewing here. And we are just going to continue to give you guys content.
Awesome.
All right. So with that, we've come to the end of another episode of the Chasing Dreams podcast. This is episode 18. I am Charlie, and we are with Justin, and we are out.